We have very strong algorithms and other processes.
So if I print out a credit card on my my color printer, it won't.
We'll bump that one pretty quick, just because it doesn't have the right light, and the algorithms will note that the light isn't bouncing off the plastic properly. So we will be able to reject those both credit cards or IDs that really aren't bona fide.
Yeah.
And then in the case that it is bona fide, not only approve it, but also extract the information from it and put that into the transaction. So it becomes a big convenience thing on top of being a validation
So I don't
device.
have to fill in my address. If I show it driver's license, it already knows my
well, in
address.
the driver's license case specifically, we would be picking up the address. And in the credit card case,
of course,
we
it could be wrong, but because I could have moved.
That's right.
But then I could correct it.
Well, that's absolutely right. So the way we got to this business, if I could take a quick digression, is Daniel Mattis, the CEO, and he founded Jaja, which was an early Skype competitor. And with
I remember it.
You remember Jaja? Oh, that's right. Yes. Well, he sends regards. And what he determined there is he detected this giant fraud business that was using VoIP minutes as currency, a way to launder money. So while you would think he would spend all of his time kind of building out a fabulous voice product, he spent most of his time building out a fabulous fraud detection and prevention platform, which ultimately that's where most of the value of the company ended up residing when they sold it to Telefonica. So his takeaway from that was fraud can't be something you deal with later as you sweep up behind the great idea that is your business. It has to be front and center whenever you design a business. That was one takeaway. Then on a personal level, he was on vacation. He was in France. He is Austrian and has an Austrian address and a credit card from an Austrian bank. And he was trying to buy an airline ticket for somebody else.
Yeah.
So everything was wrong in terms of the fraud detectors. He was the wrong IP address, and it wasn't in his name. The ticket was being bought. It was a new credit card. He had just moved houses. It took him 4 or 5 hours on the phone trying to prove that it was who he said it was. And all the while he's thinking, why can't I just use my ID online? That would be so simple.
Yep.
And in that simple wish was the idea of Jumio, and not just that, the name too, because just use my ID online is an acronym that spells out Jumio, and that sort of was the genesis of his idea. And then that was in 2010, founded the company, Andreessen Horowitz and Citi Ventures came on in, and Eduardo Saverin as A-round investors, and we've been growing rapidly since.
Well, we can see how important this new world is, particularly as we get more into wireless or wearable computers where we don't want to key in data.
That's right. And that applies to mobile as well. The typical transaction time to do a credit card entry on checkout page is almost 60 seconds. So everyone, think of how much money and effort has been spent to bring the customer to that checkout page, and then there's big abandonment just because of the sheer pain. We did a survey with Harris Interactive and found that some 47% of mobile buyers have abandoned transactions because it was too painful